Late afternoon sun bathed Skyview Lounge in Victoria Island in a soft golden glow. The clink of cutlery and smooth jazz music filled the air as Amara Nwankwo sat across from Michael Okafor, the charming CEO of Okafor Holdings. He was every bit the man Lagos society admired, well-groomed in a tailored navy suit, a gold timepiece peeking beneath his cuff, confidence flowing as effortlessly as the words from his lips. Amara smiled politely, sipping her mint tea, yet her eyes lingered on Michael. Something about him always felt perfectly rehearsed, too smooth, too pristine. She had met powerful men before, but Michael had a quiet edge, a confidence that didn't ask for permission. Still, he had never spoken of his family beyond vague comments about his late father and a retired mother somewhere in the countryside. When Michael excused himself to take a call, his best friend, Tunde Adebayo, leaned across the table, his voice low and urgent. "Amara, there's something you need to know before this relationship goes any deeper." Amara's brows creased. "What is it?" Tunde's jaw tightened. "Do you know where his mother lives?" She paused. "He said she moved up north for early retirement." Tunde gave a pained chuckle. "That's a lie. Mama Nkechi lives in Surulere. She works night shifts cleaning at a buka Mama Bisi's buka, scrubbing floors, alone." Amara blinked, her pulse quickening. "You're serious?" "As serious as heartbreak," he replied. "Michael cut her off years ago, said she was a burden to his rise." Later that night, Amara couldn't sleep. Her mind spiraled between disbelief and quiet fury. Could Michael, the same man who spoke of loyalty and ambition, abandon the woman who raised him? Curiosity gnawed at her. By morning, she found herself inside a Siki Napep, weaving through traffic to Surulere. The scent of stew and bleach hung in the air as she stepped into Mama Bisi's buka. Behind the counter, bent over with rubber gloves and a basin, was an elderly woman, thin-framed, gray-haired, her back curved with exhaustion. Amara approached a waitress nearby. "Please, what's her name?" The girl wiped her hands. "That's Mama Nkechi. Comes in every night. Cleans like she's still young. Rumor has it her son is one big oga on Banana Island." Amara stepped back, her chest tight. This was the woman Michael had erased? Her hands trembled as she exited the buka, leaning against the brick wall outside. The Lagos night buzzed around her, but in her soul a storm had begun. A choice had to be made, and she wasn't going to stay silent. The next morning, the usual calm of Amara's flat in Lekki Phase 1 was replaced with a taut silence. She stood by the window, phone in hand, heart racing. She had barely slept. The image of Mama Nkechi, hunched over a bucket of soapy water, haunted her, the mother of a man who lived like royalty, left to scrape dignity from concrete floors. A knock broke the silence. It was Michael. He entered with his signature charm, a bouquet in one hand, a confident grin on his face. "For the most beautiful woman in Lagos," he beamed. Amara didn't smile. She crossed her arms. "We need to talk." Michael paused mid-step. "What's wrong?" She didn't answer with words. Instead, she handed him a napkin from Mama Bisi's buka. His eyes scanned the logo before flicking up to meet hers. A flicker of tension passed through his smile. "I went there," she said, voice steady. "I saw her." Michael's jaw tightened. "Amara! Why is your mother scrubbing floors in Surulere while you live in Banana Island?" Her voice rose. "You said she was retired. You said she was proud of you." Michael exhaled deeply and looked away. "It's complicated." "No," Amara snapped. "It's cruel. You cut her off. You abandoned her." "I had to," he muttered, pacing. "She never understood my vision, always telling me to play it safe, to stay small. I needed to grow beyond her world." "And so you discarded her?" Amara's eyes flashed with disbelief. "Michael, she raised you alone. She gave you everything, and now you pretend she doesn't exist?" He rubbed his temple. "You don't get it. That world, it pulls you back." "No," she said firmly. You pushed her out. And if you think I'll marry a man who abandons his own mother, then you don't know me at all. Amara, don't do this. Don't Whitney me, she snapped, fury and heartbreak in her voice. I love you, Michael, but I won't build a future with a man who's ashamed of his past. You want this to work? Fix it. Make it right, or I walk. For the first time, Michael looked unsure, vulnerable. He stood frozen as Amara stepped into her bedroom, closing the door behind her with a quiet but final click. Left in silence, Michael stared at the forgotten bouquet on the floor. The walls of his perfect world were beginning to crack, and he had a choice to make: continue hiding or confront the truth he had buried for too long. The Range Rover crawled slowly through the rain-glossed streets of Surulere, its sleek body out of place among the worn buildings and flickering streetlights. Inside, Michael Okafor sat in silence, hands clenched on the steering wheel, battling a war no boardroom had ever prepared him for. The words, "Fix it," or "I walk," echoed like a drumbeat in his head. He hadn't stepped foot near Mama Beezy's buka in over 4 years. Not since the argument. Not since he told his mother she was a weight, a limitation he had to sever. It was a moment of pride-fueled ambition, but one that had grown into shame with every passing success. Now, success felt like rot beneath his feet. With a deep breath, he killed the engine and stepped out. The night air was humid, thick with stew, sweat, and distant generators humming. Inside the buka, the bell jingled weakly as he pushed the door open. There she was. Mama Nkechi Okafor. His mother hunched over a mop, her faded wrapper tied tightly, feet sore in worn slippers. Her once rich ebony skin dulled with exhaustion, her salt and pepper hair pulled back under a torn scarf. She hadn't seen him yet. "Michael," she whispered when she finally looked up, her voice catching like an old memory. He stood there, all 6 feet of regret wrapped in designer guilt. I wanted to see you," he said, barely above a whisper. Mama Nkechi straightened slowly, setting her mop aside. "Why? Come to tell me how far you've gone without me? Or to remind me I was holding you back?" Her voice wasn't angry. It was tired, so very tired. Michael stepped closer. "No, I came to say I was wrong. I said horrible things and I left you behind." She turned her back to him, her shoulders trembling. 4 years of silence. 4 years of hunger, shame. People pointing and whispering, "Isn't that the mother of that billionaire in Banana Island?" Michael's head dropped. "I was blinded, Mama. I thought I had to choose between greatness and you." "And did you?" she asked softly. "I did rise," he admitted. "But it feels empty now." Mama Nkechi turned to him, her eyes glistening. "Empty because you left behind what gave your life meaning. Me, our home, the truth." He sank into a wooden bench, his voice cracked. "I've lost too much, Mama, and now, I'm about to lose Amara too." "Good girl," she said quietly. Strong spine, clear eyes. "She came here, you know, sat right there, cried when she saw me." Michael's chest ached. "I didn't come only because she asked," he said, looking up. "I came because I miss you. I want to make it right. I want you back in my life." Mama Nkechi folded her arms. "And you think one visit can erase 4 years of pain?" "No," he said. "But maybe it can start something new." For a long moment, she said nothing. Then slowly, painfully, she sat beside him. "Redemption isn't in talk, Michael. It's in footsteps. Come again tomorrow, and the day after that. If you want your mother back, then walk the road." He nodded, tears brimming. "I'll walk it, Mama, I swear." She reached for his hand, rough, cracked, but still warm. "You better mean it, son, because I'm not sure I can survive another goodbye." By 6:30 a.m. the next morning, Mama Beezy's buka was still closed to customers, but the doors were unlocked for one unexpected visitor. Michael Okafor stepped inside, carrying a flask of tea and a brown paper bag. His once polished demeanor had softened. Today, he wore a simple polo and jeans. No Rolex, no security detail, just a son, returning to where his pride had abandoned him. Mama Nkechi looked up from where she was wiping down a wooden bench. "You again?" she asked, not unkindly. "I brought tea," he said, holding out the flask. "Chamomile and honey. You used to drink it every night." She raised an eyebrow. "You remember that?" "I remember everything," Michael said softly. "I just buried it to chase things that meant less." She accepted the tea, but kept her tone steady. "Tea won't buy forgiveness, Michael." "I know," he nodded. "But I'll be back tomorrow. And the day after that, I want to earn it." She turned away, eyes glistening. "We'll see." And so he came back, every morning. One day it was akara and custard. Another day, hot yam porridge wrapped in foil. Some days he brought fruits. Others, just warm tea and a willingness to sit in silence. Amara joined him occasionally, sitting quietly by his side as Mama Nkechi worked. There were no grand speeches, just presence, humility, and time. One afternoon, as they all sat on a bench under the buka's rusted awning during a light rain, Mama Nkechi murmured, "You never used to cook." Michael smiled faintly. "Amara's teaching me. I'm learning how to take care of people instead of just managing them." She stared at him. "You were always the bossy type even as a boy, drawing business plans on the back of cereal boxes, counting coins." Michael chuckled. "You never threw those drawings away." "They meant something to me," she said, "because you meant something to me." A long silence stretched between them. Then Michael whispered, "I lost sight of that, Mama. I let the world tell me that you weren't good enough to stand beside my success." Mama Nkechi wiped her eyes with the hem of her wrapper. "You broke my heart, Michael. But these visits, they're stitching something back together." That weekend, he surprised her. They walked together slowly to a dusty compound in Ikejagara, Mama Nkechi's old flat. He opened the gate with a key and said, "I've kept paying rent here all these years, hoping one day I'd be brave enough to bring you back." She stepped in, her mouth falling open. The floral curtains still hung, her old photos still on the shelf. The worn couch where she used to braid his hair on Sundays still there, now reupholstered. "You kept it?" she asked, voice trembling. Michael nodded. "Because some part of me knew I'd have to return." She turned slowly. "You never needed to be a millionaire, Michael. You just needed to be my son." His voice cracked. "I know that now." She sat gently on the couch, running her hands over the fabric. "So what now?" Michael knelt before her. "Now I want to move you back here. No more scrubbing buka floors, no more shame." She shook her head slowly, unsure whether to laugh or cry. "You're serious?" "For the first time in years, Mama. I'm serious about the right things." The move was quiet. No media frenzy, no press releases, just a battered minivan, a few cartons, and the careful hands of Michael, Amara, and Mama Nkechi as they packed up her few belongings from the back room of Mama Bisi's buka. It was Amara who scrubbed the walls of the Ikeda bungalow. She swept, dusted, and unpacked books, humming softly to herself. Michael adjusted the floral curtains, while Mama Nkechi sat in silence, watching them part grateful, part overwhelmed. That evening, they sat on plastic chairs in the small living room, eating amala and ewedu from a single tray placed on the center table. No candles, no chandeliers, just the warm flicker of a rechargeable lamp and the scent of home-cooked food. "I never thought I'd have this again," Mama Nkechi said quietly, staring at her plate. Michael looked up. "What?" "Family, laughter, my name being spoken without pity." He reached across the table and took her hand. "You should have never lost it, Mama." Amara leaned closer. "We can't change what happened, but we can rebuild." For the first time, Mama Nkechi looked at Amara not as an outsider, but as someone who had stepped into her son's brokenness with compassion. You're the reason he came back, aren't you? Amara smiled shyly. Maybe, but he stayed because he wanted to. Michael nodded. I don't want to live another day without you in it, Mama. Mama Nkechi chuckled faintly. Then you better start helping me with my garden. The backyard is a jungle. The days that followed were filled with small acts of healing. Michael brought home groceries. He fixed the broken hinges on her kitchen cupboard. He paid a carpenter to restore her old rocking chair and planted hibiscus in the backyard. One Saturday morning, Amara handed Mama Nkechi a folded brochure. It was for a new community center in Yaba, Nincheta Women Youth Foundation. I want you to come with me, she said. We're looking for women to volunteer. Read stories to kids. Help with mentoring. You don't need to scrub floors to feel useful. Mama Nkechi looked up, eyes moist. You think they'd listen to someone like me? They need someone like you, Amar said gently. That Sunday, they went together, all three of them, to the Cathedral Church of Christ in Marina. For years, Michael had avoided churches out of shame. But as he stood beside his mother, holding her hand through hymns and scripture, he no longer felt like an imposter. He felt whole. After service, Michael turned to Amara. There's something I've been meaning to do. What is it? She asked. He smiled, eyes full of emotion. Something simple, something honest. The next day, standing on the front steps of his corporate tower in Lagos Island, Michael called a press conference. The media expected a business merger. Instead, they got truth. I am not a self-made man. He began, his voice steady but raw. I am the product of a woman who scrubbed floors so I could wear suits. And I abandoned her. But I've come home to her and to myself. In the back of the small crowd, Mama Nkechi, wearing a fresh Iroan blouse Amara picked out for her, stood quietly, her eyes glistening. She didn't smile. She simply nodded, acknowledging the truth she had carried alone for so long. The press conference reverberated across Lagos by nightfall. Headlines blazed. CEO Michael Okafor breaks silence. I abandoned my mother. From Banana Island to Surulere, a son's redemption. Okafor Holdings boss acknowledges family struggles at emotional conference. By the time Michael returned to his penthouse in Banana Island, the floodgates had opened. Praise, outrage, curiosity. But none of that mattered as much as the quiet moment that followed when he sat beside his mother and Amara, watching the news report together in silence. You didn't have to do that, Mama Nkechi whispered, her voice thin with emotion, eyes fixed on the screen. Michael reached for her hand. I did. You lived in silence, cleaning floors while I wore a crown built on a lie. That crown was never mine to wear. She squeezed his fingers gently. You've given me back something I thought I lost: dignity, not just in the eyes of the world, but in my own. Amara, seated between them, placed her palm on Michael's shoulder. You didn't just speak truth. You turned it into power. That takes a different kind of strength. The next morning, Michael stepped into his office tower, not as the untouchable CEO, but as a man reborn. Employees looked at him differently, not with awe, but with respect. For the first time, his walls were down. And his heart was open. He called a full staff meeting. We're not just changing our business, he announced. We're changing our purpose. From today, Okafor Holdings will fund child education programs, maternity support, and scholarships, starting with a fund named after my mother, the Nkechi Okafor Dignity Grant. His employees applauded not just for policy, but for humanity. That night, Amara watched from the kitchen window as Michael helped Mama Nkechi fold donated baby clothes for an outreach program they were supporting through her Nchita Foundation. His sleeves rolled, no driver waiting outside, just her, man, present, grounded, giving. This isn't PR, he told her as they packed boxes together. This is redemption. I can't fix everything, but I can start here with you, with Mama, with anyone who's ever been made invisible. Amara smiled, placing a hand on his chest. Then you're not doing it alone. Later that week, at Mama Nkechi's renovated bungalow in Ikeja, the family gathered for their first real celebration. No lace, no cameras, just love. They ate her pepper soup under string lights, music drifting softly from a rechargeable speaker. Amara laughed as Michael burned the suya. Mama Nkechi shook her head, amused. Oga CEO can build skyscrapers but can't grill meat. Michael raised his cup. To second chances. Amara echoed. To the women who never stopped believing in their sons. Mama Nkechi lifted hers last. To sons who found their way back home. The clink of their cups was louder than any applause Michael had ever received. This wasn't success. This was wholeness. The day Michael Okafor proposed again, it wasn't under the glittering lights of Banana Island, or inside an expensive restaurant. It was on the modest terrace of Mama Nkechi's bungalow in Ikeja, just after a shared dinner of ogbono soup and semovita. He pulled out a simple gold ring, looked into Amara Nwankwo's eyes, and said, I want you to be my future, not just in word, but in vows. Amara's breath caught. Yes, she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. 1,000 times, yes. And just like that, the real planning began, not for a society wedding, but for something deeper, something sacred. When the wedding planner first arrived, Michael laid down the rules with quiet certainty. No yachts, no horses, no celebrity appearances. I don't want spectacle, I want sincerity. The planner blinked. So, what do you want? I want my mother to walk me down the aisle. Silence. Your mother? The planner asked. Michael smiled. She's the reason I became the man Amara is marrying. She deserves the honor. Amara added, and she'll sit beside us during the vows. No front row separation. That evening, they told Mama Nkechi. Me? She gasped, apron in hand. Walk you down the aisle? Are you mad? Michael knelt beside her. You walked me through shame, through silence, through my darkest years. It's only right you walk me into the future. She was still, her eyes filling. But I don't know how to be a part of all this. Lace, photographers, gowns. It's not my world. Amara knelt beside her. You don't have to change a thing, just be yourself. That's enough. You are the wedding, Michael added gently. Without you, there is no wholeness. Days later, Mama Nkechi allowed herself to be taken shopping in Balogan Market. She tried on gowns with childlike wonder. Not flashy lace, just soft blue ankara, accented with subtle beadwork. She paused at one, smoothing the fabric over her hips. I haven't worn anything this nice since your graduation. You look beautiful, Amara said, holding up a mirror. Michael's going to cry. Mama Nkechi laughed. He better, or I'll walk him right back out. A week before the wedding, Michael did something he had long avoided. He took his mother to Ikoyi Cemetery, where his father, the man who had abandoned them, was buried. I haven't been here since I was 17, he said, as they approached the headstone. Mama Nkechi stared at the name carved in stone. He made his choices, but I chose you. Michael's eyes misted, and I kept trying to earn the love of the one who left, instead of honoring the one who stayed. He turned toward her. From now on, Mama, I choose you, every day. They embraced beneath the trees as birds chirped softly above. The pain of the past didn't vanish, but it loosened its grip. And in its place came something new. Forgiveness, acceptance, peace. The church was nothing like the socialites of Lagos expected. No marble pillars or celebrity choirs, just the Cathedral Church of Christ in Marina, old, sacred, sunlit through stained glass windows. Wooden pews were decorated with white hibiscus and eucalyptus leaves that Amara and Mama Nkechi had personally selected. The scent of fresh blossoms floated through the air, mingling with anticipation. There were murmurs among the guests. Where are the dignitaries? No security convoys? Why is there no orchestra? But the closer you got to the front, the clearer the reason. This wasn't about status. It was about soul. In the bride's room, Amara stood before a full-length mirror. Her ivory gown flowed gracefully, simple but regal. Her hair was braided into an updo, with coral pins glinting softly in the light. There was a knock. Mama Nkechi entered slowly, holding a small velvet box in her hand. Her soft blue gown shimmered gently, and her wrapper was tied with elegant precision. "This belonged to my mother," she said, opening the box to reveal a single string of pearls. "I wore it on my wedding day. I never thought I'd pass it on." Amara's hands trembled slightly as Mama Nkechi fastened the necklace around her neck. "You're not just marrying my son," she whispered. "You're becoming my daughter, and I couldn't have asked for better." Tears welled in Amara's eyes. "Thank you, Mama." Meanwhile, Michael waited outside the church doors, dressed in a cream agbada embroidered with silver thread. Beside him, Tunde Adebayo, his best man, patted his back. "You ready?" he asked. Michael took a breath. "I've never been more sure of anything in my life." Then the church doors opened. Gasps rippled through the room. Michael Okafor, Billionaire CEO, was walking down the aisle not alone, not flanked by politicians or business partners, but arm in arm with Mama Nkechi, the woman he had once abandoned and now honored before all. Some guests wiped their eyes. Others watched in reverent silence. It was more than a procession. It was a declaration. As they reached the altar, Mama Nkechi turned to him, her voice low. "Thank you for giving me back my name." He squeezed her hand. "Thank you for never letting go." He stepped toward Amara, who waited radiant beneath the soft glow of stained glass. For a moment, everything faded: the crowd, the whispers, the past. Only love remained. They didn't read vows from cue cards. They spoke from memory, from hearts scarred but healing. Michael took her hands. "You saw the broken in me, and helped me rebuild. You brought me back to my mother, to my truth. I vow to walk beside you with honesty and grace every day." Tears slipped down Amara's cheeks. "You taught me that redemption is real, that love is not perfect but purposeful. I vow to keep believing in you, not the CEO, but the man who came home." In the front row, Mama Nkechi wept openly, holding her chest, whispering a prayer of gratitude no microphone could capture. As Michael and Amara kissed, the church erupted in applause, not for a spectacle, but for a miracle: a family restored, a man redeemed, a legacy rewritten. This wasn't just a wedding. It was the culmination of every step Michael had taken from pride to peace, from loneliness to love. The honeymoon was quiet, a modest cabin near a lake in Iyabu Ode, far from Banana Island, the internet, and the pressures of their former lives. Michael and Amara spent their mornings walking barefoot on wooden docks, their evenings cooking together in silence. No butlers, no staff, just laughter, reflection, and the warmth of becoming one. "You've changed," Amara whispered one evening as they watched the sun melt into the water. Michael kissed her shoulder. "You changed me. So did Mama. I'm not chasing the world anymore. I'm building something that lasts." When they returned to Lagos, Michael revealed one last surprise. He took Mama Nkechi's hand and led her into a fully renovated version of her old home in Ikeja Giara. The walls had been freshly painted in calming earth tones. The kitchen had modern appliances. The backyard garden bloomed with hibiscus and scent leaves. On the terrace stood a white wooden rocking chair, the one she had always dreamed of. "Mama," he said, handing her the keys, "this is yours, every inch of it, paid for by a grateful son." She walked through the doorway, her hand trembling over the walls. "You remembered everything." Michael smiled. "I never forgot. I just didn't know how to come back." She turned and embraced him, whispering into his chest, "Then stay this time. No more apologies, just presence." In the months that followed, their lives became rhythm, not of grandeur, but of meaning. Amara's Nchedo Women Youth Foundation opened its doors in Yaba, offering parenting classes, youth mentorship, and healing spaces for broken homes. Michael funded it generously, but quietly, never claiming credit. "This is your vision," he told her. "My job is to protect it." Every Wednesday, Mama Nkechi came in to read stories to the children. Her voice, once silenced by shame, now held a room full of little hearts in rapt attention. On Fridays, Michael and his mother shared lunch at a quiet garden restaurant. Jollof, fried plantain, palm wine. They laughed over old memories. "You remember when you tried to sell Puff Puff in church and got caught?" she teased one afternoon. Michael groaned. "You still remember that? You were a hustler, even in primary 3. Laughter filled the space. Not the forced kind, the healed kind. One evening, Amara came home to the smell of burnt bread and the sight of flour-dusted counters. "What happened here?" she laughed. Michael looked up from the oven, sheepish. "I tried baking." She hugged him from behind. "You failed beautifully." He grinned. "That's how I learn these days." That night, the three of them sat on Mama Nkechi's terrace, the sky painted in twilight. Amara curled beside Michael. Mama rocked gently, her face lit by peace, not pain. "I never imagined this," Mama Nkechi whispered. "I thought I'd die alone, invisible. But God gave me back my son." Michael leaned forward. "You never stopped praying. You never stopped being my boy." Amara looked between them, her voice soft. "This is what love does. It rebuilds, it reclaims." Michael wrapped his arms around both women. "I thought I had everything, until I remembered what everything really means." And under the stars that night, no riches, no accolades, no mansions could match the wealth they now held. Love, redemption, family. Earned, forgiven, whole.